Hi guys, just wanted to come on and do a quick update. Today is cycle day one. I started spotting yesterday, and today flow is here. So um, cycle day one again. So I had a few things to think about this month after having a chemical pregnancy, and let me just talk about that a little bit. When I took my first pregnancy test, which was at in the evening at 12 days past ovulation, I just kind of had a feeling I was pregnant. I was so super fatigued, like for quite a few days there. Like I just found myself falling asleep in the most obscene of places, and that is totally not me at all. My phone always goes off when I'm making videos, so just ignore that. But yeah, so I just found myself falling asleep just anywhere, and it was so weird to me. But I just had a feeling. So when I took it in the evening and got two lines, I was just amazed, you know. And then I took another test the next morning, got another two lines, and it was the same color. I was hoping it would be darker since at that point it was first morning urine, but it wasn't. And then the next day the test was lighter, and so forth and so on. So I already knew something wasn't right. Like I knew something was happening. I know pregnancy tests don't tell you how much HCG levels you have in your body, but I do believe that there's something to it if your lines are continuously getting lighter and lighter on such a sensitive test. Like that shouldn't happen. They should just keep getting darker and darker, at least 24, 48 hours, and so on and so forth from that point. They weren't doing that though. They just were getting lighter and lighter. And I did not, those tests were read within the time limit because I'm just like you guys. I'm an insane TTC person, so I stalk my pregnancy test when I take them. I don't even like set a timer and come back. Like I stay there and I stalk the hell out of that test until I see some action. So I look at it within the time limit, but I look at it that whole period while the test is running. So they didn't show up after the time limit. They were there. And honestly, the test lines are still there. Like if I go get a test right now that I took, the lines are still there. So I didn't imagine these. I had several of my friends that saw them as well that, they were positive. And when I did more research on chemical pregnancies, I'm like 100% sure that that's what it was. Because I just really had a feeling that I was pregnant. So at first I was really hurt about it, as I mentioned in my last video, but I'm better about it now. And I talked to somebody who really gave me a great way of thinking about it, and like that was the first time I had ever gotten a positive on any pregnancy test. So that I should be proud in that it happened. It may not have stuck, but it did happen. And if it happened once, it sure as hell can happen again. Like I know my body did it, so my body is figuring this thing out for finally. So hopefully it can do it again and be successful the next time. So that gives me hope in thinking of it in that way. And another way, this person also gave me a way of thinking of it as, because I was mad at everybody. You know, I was mad at everybody under the sun. And, I was upset with God even, like, why? Why do I have to go through this when teenagers and crackheads can have babies like like no other. But she said this, that maybe by you losing the baby so early, it was a way of protecting you. She doesn't think that me wanting a baby the way I do is healthy, because I want it so bad that she thinks it may be somewhat of an obsession. I just keep saying she because I'm not going to mention her name, but she does feel like it may be a bit of an obsession. So, and I'm going to say this: I know that losing a baby at any time in a pregnancy, whether it's soon or it's later, it's hard because I just went through a chemical. I know it is so hard, especially after you've seen those lines and you're like, oh my God, it's hard. It's really hard, no matter what stage of the pregnancy it happens at. But what she said to me that made sense was that I may have been protected in the way that if I had to lose a baby, it was better that I lost it earlier than later. Once I felt this baby move and I started growing, and and finding out what the sex of the baby was, and buying clothes and decorating a nursery with their name on it and picking out a name. You do become more attached at that point. I mean, you really have a name to put with a face, even if you had a 3D scan, where you can see the face. If you're further along in that way, then yeah, it is more devastating. Like, it's devastating no matter when it happens, but I do believe that it's more devastating at that point. My mother had a miscarriage with her first pregnancy. I'm her third, but her first pregnancy was a miscarriage, and I know they're so common. Like, just for unknown reasons, women have miscarriages, so it happens. So that's why I just feel like and I do agree with that. If I had to lose a baby, I'm glad I lost it earlier in the stages where, oh my God, I just got a positive pregnancy test, and you're excited, but at the same time you're scared, and it doesn't really feel real yet. I'm glad that if I had to lose it, then it was when I did, compared to later on at 30 weeks. And I know a lot of you probably either have had a miscarriage around that time, or 12 weeks and beyond, excuse me, or know somebody who has, or even had a stillborn, or, whatever the situation is. I know or have, know somebody who has gone through that. So you know how hard it is, and at any stage of the pregnancy. So I don't know how I could get through that. I'm sure that if I was put through that situation, you find the strength, but like right now, as bad as I want a child, like I just don't know how I would deal with something like that. I think it would pretty much put me into a depression, a strong depression. So thinking of it in that way, it did make me a little bit more positive. So moving on from that, let me tell you a little bit about what I felt about this past cycle and where I'm going at with this new cycle now. So last cycle, my plan was actually to be unmedicated. I was going through a lot of stuff with my other half, and I was just like, I don't know. I was having a very emotional moment with him at the time, and I think I even told him at one point, like, I don't even think I want kids with you anymore. Like, I told him that. I couldn't believe it came out of my mouth myself. Like, I shocked myself when I said it, and he was just totally shocked into silence when I said it. So, that happened, and I was just like, I'm gonna take a break. Like, August cycle, I said, I'm not gonna do anything. I need to figure out what I want to do. It was that bad. So what happened to make me end up taking Clomid that cycle was that, well, I had gotten a higher dosage because I ended up talking to my fertility specialist into that. And then my friend she actually ordered Clomid online and was waiting forever to get hers from India, but she finally got it. So she was like, oh, we're going to be Clomid buddies. Just please take it with me since I'm going to be taking it. Well, the thing was, my period started, so it was like, fine. You got your Clomid. She got her Clomid, but she hadn't gotten her period yet. So I said, well, I'll go ahead and take mine. I got my period started, so I'm going to go ahead and start Clomid. So I started it, and we were waiting for hers to show up. Her period never showed up. Reason being, she was already pregnant. So all this, like, hoopla about the trouble to get the Clomid from India to here in the States was just crazy, and turned out she was pregnant anyway. So she never was my Clomid buddy for the past cycle. So that already too kind of made me feel kind of positive about it, because it was like, maybe I was just meant to take Clomid last cycle, it wasn't meant to take a break. So, and I did get pregnant from it. I just, couldn't keep it, unfortunately. But, you know, I was meant to take it. I was meant to go through that. So this cycle, well, let me go back. After I had my blood test results, my RE's nurse called me, and she said, "Well, when your period starts, give us a call and we'll talk about what the next steps are going to be. And if it doesn't start, they wanted me to come back for another blood test. I think I mentioned that in the last video, that they wanted me to come back by September 20th for another blood test, and they were going to up my dosage to 150. Either way, they want to start monitoring me this time. Now, they have not monitored me for the past 3 Clomid cycles. They have not done any blood tests, which I did ask for. No ultrasounds at all. So this cycle, they want to do an ultrasound and blood test and monitor me, which when I thought about that, I'm like, well, this is a good thing because I need to know what my ovary is doing in there. Yes, it said ovary because I only have one. I had my left ovary removed back in 2009 because I had a cyst that was so large that I guess when the doctor got in there, he had no choice but to remove it, but he didn't. That wasn't the plan. Okay, but needless to say, I have one ovary right now. So I know people say like, "Well, I only ovulated on this side," or I ovulated on the right this time, or ovulated on the left." Like I only have one side to ovulate from, and I need to know that Clomid is making that ovary do what it needs to do. So I feel like this is a good opportunity to make sure that the treatment that I'm receiving now is is working. Because I did think about this cycle as well as just taking a break. Like I was so devastated that I just said, you know what? I don't know if I can do this again right now so soon. I just need to take a break. And that was my thought. But then when I thought about it more, I'm like, I need to just go for it and just complete it. Like I have 6 months to take Clomid, whatever, and then go to the next step. I need to just see it through. And if the doctors are going to monitor me now, that's even better because now I can make sure that what they're giving me is really working, and I can see how well it's working because I know it's working. I just want to know how well it's working as well. So I think it's a good opportunity this cycle to really learn about how well my treatment is with this fertility specialist. I had thought about taking a break, and I've heard so many people say like, "Well, you're trying too hard, and you need to relax and not think about it because that's when it happens." And that's all fine and dandy. I understand that some people when they take breaks on Clomid, they get pregnant that cycle, and that's great. I have optimism in that, but the same things would make me not relax on that cycle because if I didn't take Clomid, first off, I don't ovulate on my own, and I know this. Like, you know, it didn't work for me when I wasn't taking Clomid and I wasn't thinking about it, and I was relaxed. It wasn't working for me then because I wasn't ovulating on my own. So I need the Clomid to help me ovulate. Since I've been taking Clomid, my cycles have been more regular and everything. So I need it. Secondly, infertility is serious. Like this isn't in my head. This isn't something I need to like stop stressing over to make myself ovulate. I'm not ovulating. Infertility is serious, and if there's drugs to make my body do what it needs to do, then yes, I need to take it. Now, whether or not I go into so much depth within cycle, as far as ovulation test and clear blue fertility monitor and everything else I was doing. Now that's a different story because I know a lot of women who take Clomid don't use ovulation tests at all. And I know if you know anything about PCOS, like I know that some people say, well, if you have PCOS, it can kind of alter the results of your ovulation test. So I know a lot of women who just take the Clomid and then they just go with the cycle. And that's fine too because then you're still relaxed. You don't really know when you ovulated, but you go with the hopes that you should have. Maybe you have an ultrasound that says, yeah, you have some follicles growing. So you really don't have to keep testing. One thing I don't plan to keep doing is using my Clear Blue fertility monitor because it has only given me a peak once out of the year and a half I've been using it or so. And even just like last cycle, I got so many positive tests on other ovulation tests. I mean, 6 different ones except my clear blue fertility monitor. I had smiley faces for 2 days in a row, other dark tests, and clear blue fertility monitor was just like, blah, nope, you're not ovulating. You're just high, whatever. But I'm just saying, those tests are more expensive than anything else I buy with trying to conceive. I can buy a bunch of internet cheapy ovulation tests for $15 and get like 50 of them with some pregnancy tests to go along with it. Whereas if I'm getting these tests for my Clear Blue fertility monitor, it's gonna run me at least like $35 for those tests. And yeah, I still have some, but I don't know. I feel like it's a waste of my money to keep using it because it's just not giving me any kind of results at all. And I know I'm ovulating. It's just this machine is not telling me that. So I refuse to buy more tests. I might use up the ones I have, but I'm not going to buy any more tests. Now, where was I? So, yeah. Back to this cycle. I'm not gonna stop taking Clomid. I'm not. I needed to ovulate, and if I didn't take it, I would wonder the whole time. I would not relax because I would wonder the whole time. I wonder if I'm going to ovulate on my own. I wonder if it's going to be at an average time throughout the cycle or really late in the cycle. I wonder if I'll go back to my old ways of having like a 45 to 60 something day cycle without Clomid. That's what I would stress about the whole month. Just worry and just worry about it because I would have no answers. I would just have a bunch of questions, just sitting there twiddling my thumbs, and it would be hard. It would be hard to get past that. And another thing, I know people say relax and it happens, and I'm not saying that doesn't happen. But if you look at any book or any website, anything, even if you just buy ovulation tests, the first thing that they tell you on there is that you need to know when you ovulate. You need to know where you are in your cycle. So I just feel like when they say like, excuse me, don't try or just let go and let it happen. And that does happen for people. It does because there's plenty of people who don't try and get pregnant. But I'm just saying for those of us who have a little trouble, we know what our problems are. We need to give ourselves the best chance that we can. And that's all I'm doing. So if anybody wants to know why I'm not like taking a break or I'm still trying. I'm not trying too hard, but I'm doing what I need to do to give myself the best chance because it's not going to happen without any medication for me right now. So that's where I am with it. I will be taking Clomid again. We'll see how much. It'll probably be, my doctor probably won't up it at 250 since my period did start on its own, but I'll see what she says tomorrow. I'm prepared for either way, 100 or 150. I'll start it tomorrow and go from there. Um, Other than that, I'll probably be doing everything else the same that I was doing before and just go with that and hope for the best. So I appreciate you guys and all of the support you've given me and comment, inbox me, anything, subscribe, all that great stuff. I subscribe back. So um, I'm also here to support you guys as well. So appreciate you listening. I love you all. Thank you. Bye.